From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas.
By God.
Welcome in, everyone, to a Monday version of the Grandpa and Pappy Show as we kick off the week together, hoping that you had a terrific weekend and that our country is still the United States of America.
Mine went by so quick, it's like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, ain't it so?
That's
It's kind of fun.
It is strange when the way that works out.
And of course, now by now, all of you know of the Georgia runoff elections.
Georgia.
The Democrats won, and I guess you know about the march on Washington, D.C. that led to the storming of the Capitol building by some who we believe now to be planted people in there to cause chaos amongst everyone at the Capitol.
Well, amigo, you know deep in your heart it was that damn Trump that did all
Well, that's what everybody tries to say, but it is not.
Who the hell they're going to blame it on now?
And
damn
all
Biden.
of the damn Biden. Yeah,
Got a nice ring to it, don't it?
it does. It does. All of the comments that we've had on our show, the last couple of shows, also mentioned the possibility of Texas seceding from the Union and becoming our own country again.
Yeah.
Well, we had a show on this about 2.5 weeks ago.
We did.
And the response has been so great that it's come up again.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do a show on that today.
Yeah.
Texas Secession Part 2.
Part 2.
Now, I have had an opportunity to do some research on this. A lot of folks out there say it's in the Texas Constitution that they can secede from the United States. That is true. The Constitution was written in 1836 after Texas got their independence from Mexico.
Salute.
And they used that option to secede from the Union in 1861 during the American Civil War.
Yeah.
Now, what you don't understand, and I got all of this information from the Smithsonian Institute website.
By God.
You ask it a question, it answers it and gives you details. Texas, when they seceded as a condition to get back into the Union, they can't use the secession clause anymore in their Constitution. Now, with that being said,
Damn Biden.
for more than 150 years, Texas has had the power to succeed, except it's from itself.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
if you're tired of being a Texan, succeed, I guess.
Good Lord. And I'm just going to read a few little things here.
Yeah.
John Nance Garner, who became Franklin Roosevelt's vice president before he declared the job isn't worth a pitcher of warm spit, the cow-punching, whiskey-drinking, poker-dealing Texas congressman pushed a plan to grab even more clout from its already enormous state. Now, Garner's idea went nowhere because he was asking that Texas split itself into half. An area twice as large and rapidly becoming as populous as New England should have at least 10 senators. That's what Garner told the New York Times in April of 1921.
Well, that means we'd be half-assed Texans. I couldn't live with that.
And the only way we can get them is to make 5 states, not 5 small states, mind you, but 5 great states. Thanks to the term of the Texas 1845 admission to the Union, he argued the state could split any time without any action from Congress, a power that no other state has. Now, Garner's idea went nowhere, but the congressman from Uvalde in the Hill Country west of San Antonio was carrying on a long West Texas tradition of trying to turn the Lone Star State into a constellation. Dividing Texas into many little Texases was seriously considered at the time Texas became a state and for decades afterward. The idea survives today as a quirk in the American law, a remnant of Texas' brief history as an independent nation. It also It's also a particular part of Texas' identity as a state so big it could split itself up, even though it loves its own bigness too much to do it. Yeah, we Texans are kind of proud of how big our state is.
It's a male state.
He says, we're the only state that can divide ourselves without anybody's permission. Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution states that Congress must approve any new states, but Texas's claim to an exception comes straight from the 1845 joint congressional resolution admitting Texas into the Union. It reads, new states of convenient size, not exceeding 4 in number, in addition to said state of Texas, and having sufficient population, may hereafter, by the consent of said state, be formed out of the territory thereof, which shall be entitled to admission under the provisions of the federal Constitution. Supporters of the Texas division say this means that Congress pre-approved a breakup already. So you cannot secede from the Union, folks.
Right. Is Congress scared?
You cannot secede from the Union, but Texas can divide itself up into 5 states with 2 senators from each state, which would give the Republic of Texas 10 senators, which many argue would give Texas more clout than any state in the United States.
Plus, everybody knows, amigo, that's just exactly what we need is about 10 more senators.
Yeah.
10 more Bidens, and that'll make everything better.
That's not a very good thing.
No.
It's not a very good thing.
No.
But, the arguments go on and on and on, and it's still argued today. But that is straight from the Smithsonian Institute's website when I asked, can Texas secede from the Union?
Yeah.
That's just in part some of what I read. But hopefully that will clear you up on a few things.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the comments that you guys made on should Texas secede from the Union. T.D. Wilcox said, not yet. Let's see what happens with the Trump bombs that are about to be released. Sandy Bennett Armistead agreed by saying, I agree. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but don't you think, TD, that a lot of the bombs have already popped?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of past the point of who's
I hear that President Trump says he has used every legal means he can, and now he will work at making a smooth transition to the next administration.
He shall bow out gracefully, which is almost hard for me to believe.
Well, I tell you what, I admire him because he did use every legal avenue that he had that was available to him, which is legal.
Yep.
And he did, and it did not work out for him. So he said, okay, he's not conceding. He just said, I will work now on making a smooth transition to the next administration. There you go.
But in the meantime, Zach Wilbur said Texas cannot succeed. It is not possible. It can only be broken down to smaller states, but states can't succeed from the United States. Jeffrey Rule agreed by saying this man speaks the truth.
And Zach's pretty smart because evidently he read the same thing as I did.
And he builds a mean, good-looking fence, too,
Yes,
by
he
God.
does. Yes, he does. Yeah. Thomas Waldrop says, I wished it could, but unfortunately it cannot. When Texas rejoined the Union after the Civil War, it pledged not to ever secede from the Union again. There are options they can take, but never can it leave. Even though we are rich in oil, cattle, technology, and manufacturing, I can't see Texas making it on its own.
Well, I'd like to find out.
Well,
and here's something for you, Zach. Bob Baker said, yes, no matter how this turns out, Texas would be better off on her own. Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution does not agree with Zach Wilbur.
And Bob, that was written in 1836.
Yeah,
a lot of things have happened since then.
You were just a kid in junior high back then,
yeah. Jonathan Green said, even though the Texas Constitution originally had a provision to secede, the Civil War changed everything. As a condition for Texas to rejoin the United States, it had to swear they would never secede again. Although since they were once a republic, Texas has the option to divide the state into 5 different states under the Texas banner, but secession is out.
You know, and I don't think I'd
and
like.
There's a lot of folks here
I don't think I would like Texas being broken down into.
I don't
5
either,
parts.
and that's the only reason why it has not, because Texas ego.
Yeah.
We like it bigger and better in Texas, and it almost passed until Alaska. I was reading that in the Smithsonian thing too.
Mm-hmm.
It almost passed in Texas to split it up. And then the United States annexed Alaska into a state, which made Alaska the biggest state in the Union, which Texas just couldn't stand.
That frozen
They just couldn't
tundra.
stand it. So it just kind of died away because they like everything bigger and better in Texas.
And how's that working for you Alaskans up there about this time of year, huh?
Oh, Lord.
Lisa Newcomer Bryan said, I was wondering, would we have our own military and how would that work? Bob Baker answered by saying we already have our own military.
Yeah, the Texas Guard.
That's right, in everybody's household.
In everybody's household, that's right. Daryl Riddle said, hell yeah, but that's just not going to happen. You know as well as myself. John Sawyer seemed to agree by saying the only way it could happen would be with the consent of Congress and the president, and that's very unlikely.
Yeah.
Blame it on Biden.
Yeah, bring it on.
Damn Biden.
Bring it on, yeah.
Dixie Urich answered John Sawyer by saying Supreme Court ruling in Texas versus White in 1836 already established that Texas cannot leave the Union. It will be upheld. The only way out is revolution. And Zach Wilbur said he thought it was 1869.
It was 1869.
I believe he's right.
Yep. Because that was one of the conditions of Texas getting back into the Union after the Civil War.
But that is very prophetic.
Josh Thomas said Texas is constitutionally unable to secede. We played that card during the Civil War and lost, to which Dixie Urich said that's absolutely right.
Yeah. And Kit Rudd said, I think it's something we need to look at real closely. In my opinion, things are fixing to change drastically. Yes, they are. But James Gordon White said it's not a good idea, as we'd be on our own to defend ourselves. And I bet we could do it.
Well, we could give it a heck of a try, but
I could reinstate the draft. But
yeah. Al Thomas said in theory it might not be a bad idea, but legally Texas can't pull away from the Union again. Even though us bragging Texans think we can, we don't have the total resources to operate a full-scale country, and most of the gold found in Texas is now in the U.S. Treasury. So where will our currency come from? Issuing Confederate money again?
put the Trumpster in the top seat.
You know, it's funny you
Go
mentioned
run it
that.
out our ass. Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that, because on a prior program that we had, somebody mentioned that. Let Texas secede and get Trump to be the governor or the president of Texas.
There you go. Our buddy Eddie Dixon said, yes, I'm pulling a Republican card. If the Democrats can cheat, I don't see why we have to be a part of the country that allows it to happen. Therefore, the rise of the 3% against tyranny. If we can't take back our country, we need to separate from the United States. God bless Texas. Dixie Urich came back and said that means going to war. A state vote does not release Texas from the Union.
It does not.
So, yeah, there'd have to be a little bit bloodshed involved, I do
sure
believe.
would be.
That's what built the country to begin with, so why not?
That's true. That's true. Marsha Renee Wallace said, we Texans need to be logical here. Each year, Texas receives millions of dollars in aid from the United States to keep our infrastructure needs and to keep the state running. That's because Texas does not have personal income taxes. Sure, they have property taxes, but that does not cover the whopping cost of running a state the size of Texas. Losing that income would be extremely harmful to our beloved state. And she's got a point there.
Well, she does, but federal aid is not what's keeping this country afloat, or our state afloat.
No, it's the lottery.
You're right. Damn right. Move some of them Indian casinos down here, and by God, we'll have a big time.
Yes, sir.
Mark Chandler seems to think we should. He said, yes, because we don't need an idiot like Biden to ruin our state. Paul Mason agreed, saying that if Texas truly wanted to succeed, it would need to get all the northern transplants and others out of our state, so only the true Texans remain to decide.
Mark.
In a perfect world, that might work out okay.
In a perfect world, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I do like the way you think, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tommy Parker said, hell yes, because the rest of the country is blood-sucking leeches that don't have enough sense to pour piss out of a boot. Crawford Young agreed, saying they would have instructions on the heel.
Probably on the toes where you could see them when you fell on your ass.
Crawford.
John Reed said either this or start a new union of conservative states and let the libs destroy their own country. Crawford Young came back to say, I would have to see the game plan before I say yay or nay. No knee-jerk stupid stuff.
Well, Crawford, you're making so much sense, you're scaring me.
That's right. He must be on that wagon or something. I don't know. Well said, though, Crawdaddy.
Absolutely. Paula Faye Butler said, we should absolutely not, because we're Americans. We should try and help this country be great again and make sure that we don't go blue. Because if we don't watch our P's and Q's, that's exactly what's going to happen. And she's right.
Well, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but it seems like that's what just recently happened.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Harley answered Paula Faye by saying it's too late. The Democrats already fixed it where nobody but them will ever be elected again. James Curry seemed to agree by saying, I'm afraid you might be 100% spot on. And Lena Torres said yes if they do not fix fraudulent elections. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we saw this when Trump was running against Hillary.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
It could happen just that easy.
It could.
Yep.
Shirley Mills said, yes, we definitely should secede. Keep Texas great. Besides, it would make us the greatest country in the world. But if we secede, can we get rid of all the Democrats?
We'll put you in charge of that, Shirley Bird. I bet it'll happen. James J. Davis said, come on, guys. Would we really be better off succeeding? Sure, we have a lot of natural resources in our great state, but can we manage to make it on our own? We have no currency, no gold, and no silver to back a currency.
Exactly.
How do we deal with other countries when we have firm established monetary systems? Consider all the situations we would face and quit using our stubborn pride to think we can.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he's right. We have no firm established monetary system.
Yeah, but we don't know.
Well, there's nothing to back up the money.
Our illustrious governor might have a whole pine box full of damn gold stashed under the Capitol building. Can't ever tell.
Oh, the Confederacy. Yeah. Confederate money. Yeah.
That's right.
Eddie Dixon seemed to contradict James Davis by saying, I call BS Texas at self-sufficiency. We have our own oil and gas. We have our own manufacturers, make our own clothes. We grow our own food, self-governing, and we have our own mint plant just north of Saginaw, Texas. Isn't sufficient, my ass.
By God.
But the mint plant
is federal.
Yeah,
it's
it
not
is.
state.
Yeah, it is. Well, we could form our own, create our own form of currency, I guess.
Yeah, you could.
Make the wooden nickels come back.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Walker said, hell yes, and Rance Palmore said, yes, we should have done it years ago. Mike Mackey says, yeah, you might fact check that. The option expired several years back, unfortunately so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
He's got a point there.
Yeah.
Ron Hanway said, we have the right to do it since we were once a sovereign country. If things really go bad, I think a lot of Texans would say yes. However, we are covered up with West Coasters and Northeasterners that might overrule us. John Bossy agreed, but asked, can we kick them out first? John.
It would be necessary, John.
The philosopher. I
That's
like
right.
it. I like it.
David Collins said, I'm a Texan, so I'll stay clear of this question after saying this. It would make things really, really difficult for us Texans at first. The real question, I think, is how many people currently live in Texas today truly love their country as founded and want the freedom and liberty enshrined in our nation's Constitution? How many people living in Texas today are okay with giving up this freedom or that little bit of liberty in favor of us being taken care of and safe? Mm-hmm. That debate should let us know how many are okay with the Texas succession. But I personally don't think we're quite to that point yet. I think if it ever happens, it'll be a forced implementation. You know, I mean, it'll be one of these backs to the wall kind of thing.
You know, in all honesty, though, Pappy, more and more people are talking about that because they just don't simply agree with what is going on in our nation's capital.
Well, I mean, we're acclimated to a certain standard of life with rules and regulations. Now, why in the hell does that need to be changed? You know, it's like the old adage, if it's not broke, don't screw with it. Mm-hmm. Why screw with it?
And another thing we're talking about, if I can go back to Eddie Dixon's comment, growing our own food, how many farmers have we got left? Would you go out and grow your own food? I'm too damn old to get out and plow and stuff like that.
I would, but
I can't do it, you know, physically.
Buy me a cow, pig, and a chicken, I'd go to town, man.
How many people living in the city, even though they're young, even know what a seed is?
I don't even know.
They can't be self-sufficient.
A lot of them don't even know what the hell a cow looks like or a chicken.
Well, it's like AOC. She thought the cows, you just got them from the grocery store.
Yeah.
Do what now?
AOC's made the comment, it's been a while back, that she said, well, you know, you don't need cows, you just go to the grocery store to get them.
Yeah. Funny.
I'm like, really? You just
Go
said
back
that?
to the bar, girl.
And they've got plenty of them.
Our friendly
Big stacks of them.
bartender.
Yeah. Crawford Young said it wouldn't be like back in the day when people were independent, had their own farms and means of survival. The government is so far up our butts, it's ridiculous. It would take someone with tremendous resources, organizational and financial means to come up with a plan of action. Once I read the plan, I could tell you if I'm down with it. Okay. That makes sense to me.
I'm sure that would matter a lot to those people on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark Gray said, after reading all of these posts, I would say this. There may be about 2 or 3% of actual Texans willing to fight if it came to it. 2 to 3%? I don't know about that. We have become so used to being breastfed by the government that we have become followers and have become extremely soft. Mm-hmm. These times are not like it was when we won our independence from Mexico. In those days, men were men. Just look around you today. Do you honestly think we could make an army out of what men have become today? Without the true numbers willing to fight, we don't have a chance.
He's got a great point.
That's a hell of a point.
That's what
Mark.
I was saying a while ago.
What happens when I pull this thing here? Does it go bang?
Good Lord of mercy.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, stop and think about it. I mean, there's good points and there's bad points about seceding from the Union, even if you could do that.
Well, there's good and bad to everything, you know.
There is. I mean, there's some valid points. I think, now, this is just my uneducated opinion. I think Texas has enough resources, like a lot of our viewers have said, that it could sustain itself and maybe become a world power by exporting a lot of our goods to other countries and even the United States if we were to secede. But here again...
Well, it depends on who we had spearheading the way,
to
all these things. I mean, somebody like Trump could, he could make Texas rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
But
many things you have to think of.
He'd have to build a mansion in Austin first, which he probably already has one on him. It's called a Trump Tower.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. Down in Austin.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments we got in. Incidentally, thank you so much for that. And I want to let you know there were so many exchanges on this topic that it was hard to include all of them, and we're still getting them in.
Yep.
And we have a deadline to when we have to put the show together, so some do
please,
not make it on there.
Please
simply
get them in
because
early. When you read the question on the Facebook group page,
Answer it.
Because we're starting to get busy enough to where they stack up, and this old boy goes nuts.
Yep, sure do.
Trying to decipher through all that. So
It is.
give
It
old
is.
Grandpa a break and make it easy on him.
Looking at the viewer comments, Nelda Pound Slater commented on if COVID changed your Christmas plans by saying, all of you that were able to have Christmas with family were very fortunate not to have this illness.
Right.
I came down with COVID the week before Christmas. I never dreamed it would change everything so fast. I didn't think it was fair to expose my family, but I didn't feel like getting together either. I just felt too bad. So Nelda, down there in Emory, Texas, to get better. She and I graduated together back in 1970.
70.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Overmeyer wrote in on a show about watching Hallmark Christmas movies. He said his wife and kids couldn't watch it enough from the time they started until they finished. To be honest, I'm sick to death of them. And I'm so glad they're over and done with. I guess I have about 10 and a half months of peace before enduring them all again.
So they started early this year. I think November. Karen, wasn't it November 1st or something like that? They started running Christmas movies.
Right before Thanksgiving.
Jesus Christ.
They nearly run them all year now. They do have
They
one
do.
night that's a Christmas night,
They do.
and they
do?
run them year round.
They even run reruns
darn.
of Christmas in July. You know, what the hell.
Sandy Reese said she just watched our show on what advice to give our kids. She said I would tell them to not be a bunch of cream puffs and learn all they can about surviving in an uncertain world, because one day they may literally have to fend for themselves.
Good words to teach your kids, Sandy.
That is good words. Way to go, Sandy.
I used to come home and go, Daddy, so-and-so was being mean to me. And he said, whoop his ass. If he talks about your mom or puts his hands on you, even very lightly, whoop his ass. So then I had Mom to deal with. So. And finally, Thomas Green said, bravo on your Christmas show. I really liked the Thomas Gabriel video that put me into the Christmas spirit, as did your clips of Christmas decorations. Boy, I got a lot of ideas for decorating next year. I haven't watched all your shows, but I have enjoyed the ones I've seen. Great job. Thank you, Thomas.
Thomas, thank you very, very much.
We love having you on board, brother.
Absolutely, and we love hearing feedback from all of you, too.
And all that Christmas magic is done by one said Special K, who is our
Yes.
producer and technical person. It's
She puts it
always
all
in
together.
a jolly mood. She is.
She is one of the best, I'll
Not
tell
always.
you. We could not put our show together and put it out to you without her help. She is the main cog in the wheel.
You folks and this young lady over here is the one that makes it happen. We just
sure does.
put the show on.
We sure did.
Put the show on.
We enjoyed having you folks here
We did.
with us. As we tell you on every show, if you have an idea or suggestion you'd like to make to the Grandpa and Pappy Show,
By all
on a
means, do
subject
it. Yeah.
that we can talk about and all of our viewers can comment on, it's very simple. Just send it to our email address, which is right over my shoulder there, grandpaandpappy@gmail.com, or
/ by God. Or you can hit us up directly on our web show site page at www.grandpapappy.com. That's www.grandpaandpappy.com, where you see that big old red button right there. Just push that rascal. Devise a little password. Subscribe. We work by numbers. By God.
sure do.
And while you're on there, I mean, we're in cahoots with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook group page, and you can access every one of those from our show page.
You sure can.
You can leave comments, remarks, show topic, subjects, all that
And if
good
you will
stuff.
go to our Grandpa and Pappy Facebook group page, as our mascot makes her appearance, you can also see a lot of these opinions being expressed before it even hits the air.
Absolutely.
And you'll see the
Unedited.
question of the day that you can comment on also. So we invite you to do that. It has been a lot of fun today.
It has.
Hope you have a great Monday. We'll see you back on Wednesday when we're going to be talking about the Capitol Hill riots.
Hump Day riot.
And get you update on all the latest information on what has been found out about it.
Damn Biden.
And yeah, now we can say damn Biden. Yeah. So anyway, we hope
see
you'll
how
join
the
us.
divine one at home likes hearing that for a while.
Yeah, damn Biden.
Damn Biden.
Anyway, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will.
And we'll see you back on Wednesday. Until then, hug your kids and let them know you love them.
Let them know that the Grandpa and Pappy show, as well as our infamous mascot, the Divine Miss Dolly, loves them too, by God.
Absolutely. So
She loves babies. Bring them over and she'll
she
lick them in the
does.
face.
She does that. She's a good babysitter.
She is.
So we'll see you back on Wednesday. We hope you have a great day. Stay safe, everyone. God bless America. God bless you. And we'll see you Wednesday.
Have a good week. Later.
Bye-bye.